Hello, I'm Tom Sawyer from the Grief Support Ministry of St. Albert the Great. And in this video, we will be discussing the grief that we all feel when we lose a pet that we love.
Tom, in all the other previous videos that you discussed healing from the loss of a loved one, why did you decide on healing from the loss of a pet?
Experiencing the death of a pet is a profound hardship. Most people feel a deep sense of loss and they need support and comfort. So this video is about how to find a measure of healing from this type of wound. In society today, there has been a huge growth in the number of people who have pets. This is due to people getting married later or not at all, widows, widowers. There's a great accessibility to pets, and there's many positive movies and books that have come out that are aimed at adults, not just children. It is no longer just Old Yeller and Homeward Bound. There's beautiful movies and books about My Dog Skip, Racing in the Rain, Shiloh, Marley and Me, A Dog's Life and a Dog's Purpose, and I could go on, and these are very popular today. The increase in ownership and our relationship with our animals is reflected in all that is available to us to lavish on our pets. Things like doggy daycare, their own webpage, their own Instagram account, toys, beds, vacations, and so on. This increase in ownership and our relationship with our animals creates great bonds with other pet owners, and there are all types of groups for owners as well as for the pets themselves. Guide dogs and the growing class of emotional support animals are seen everywhere. I believe that there's more pet posts on social media than anything else. This all corresponds with our greatly increased affection and devotion to our important family members. Pet owners have intensified, if that is even possible, their deep love for their animals during this extended COVID isolation. People have found great comfort from their pets during this time. According to Rover, 93% of the people said their pandemic pet improved their mental or physical well-being in the last year, and over 80% said that it made working from home during this pandemic more enjoyable. The top 2 reasons why people adopt a cat or a dog in the last year are for emotional support and happiness, and they need something positive in their life. So when a pet dies, there are many questions, and maybe even more conflicted questions surrounding the deep sorrow that we experience when a pet dies. Grief is a longing for what was, the love that was, the love that our pets unselfishly gave us and that we gave them. The last act of love is grief, and grief is the sign of the depth of our love, and we love our pets deeply. People, and I'm one of them, speak to their pets like they are children. So it is natural that we should need to discuss how to heal from the loss of a pet. There are many things to consider when thinking about losing a pet. Just like the many misconceptions about death and bereavement of a loved one. This mourning for the loss of a pet goes back since civilization began. Recently, I saw a post that accurately conveys the sense of loss we feel at the death of our pet, and it is from a 2,000-year-old inscription on a Roman burial tomb. It says, "I am in tears while carrying you to your last resting place, as much as I rejoiced when bringing you home with my own hands 15 years ago."
Tom, how about about sharing what your personal experience is with losing a pet, even though I know it's really difficult, but how did that influence you wanting to do this video?
Certainly. Well, during this past year, my wife and I had our three much loved pets die, one right after the other. Bob the cat, Bart the beagle, and my big black dog Cole. We had this beautiful group of rescues together for over 12 years. So in quick succession, we experienced this deep sadness and loss. Since I've been involved in the grief ministry at St. Albert, I had many questions about my feelings, and I found myself experiencing the same emotions and stages of grief and feelings that we discuss all the time during our grief sessions. And then I had 3 separate people the same week ask me if I would do a video talking about the loss of a pet. And that's how this came into being.
Tom, do you think that it's okay to grieve a pet?
The short answer is yes. Grief results from loss. The loss of what was, of what could be. So the loss of a beloved friend is true sorrow. And it's always essential to express those deep emotions and feelings rather than suffer by repressing your emotions and your feelings. Often people struggle because they do not permit themselves to grieve. It's the same as with a loved one. They struggle to say that their beloved pet has even died. This sense of loss can be especially great for people who are alone or who are isolated. Today, society tends to just focus on getting on with it, and death is becoming far removed from us, especially the death of an animal. We are often conflicted because we understand the death of a pet less than we do the death of a person. We wonder if it's okay to cry, to feel great sorrow, yet we're immobilized by sadness. So to grieve is natural, whether it is a person or a pet. Recognize your sorrow and take steps to allow its natural course to unfold. Move slowly and do many of the same things that you would do when a close person has passed. Know that it is okay to grieve for a pet, but it is the most necessary step in healing.
Tom, what are some of the most hurtful things that people say to someone who's lost a pet? Or maybe they're not helpful at all, it kind of goes the other way. What are your feelings about those?
There are many things that people say that are most inappropriate and unhelpful. They might tell you that it was an animal and you'll get over it. Or they'll say, this is a very common one, you can get another dog or you can get another cat. They proclaim that pets don't have souls, which implies that you will never be reunited with your beloved pet. They give you grief advice like you must not dwell on the loss of your pet.
Tom, I had an experience one time when our old English sheepdog, Ashley, passed away. He was 10, he died of a stroke. And we used to leave lights on and a radio on when we were gone, so that we just did.
Yeah, we do too.
And,
So
do
do
you?
I.
Okay. And a friend of mine who is not a dog person. She loves them, but she's not a dog person. Her comment to me was, well, at least now you'll save on your electric bill.
Oh.
Which, like I said, she didn't mean, I'm sure her heart was in the right place, but she just didn't know what to say.
That
But
is
it
so
was hurtful.
true with the loss of a pet as well as when a loved one dies. People just don't know what to say. So they're not necessarily, they're not meaning something bad or their intention is good, but they say something that is very hurtful, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We'd still leave the light on even after they passed in memory of them,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
the person that's experiencing the loss just has to consider that and know that people are uncomfortable, they don't know what to say, and often they'll say something most inappropriate.
What are some of the supportive things that you can say or do when someone has lost a pet, Tom?
Certainly, you should use the same sensitive, loving approach as when a loved one has died. Recognize that this grief is real and that the person needs healing and support. Kindness and listening is the best healing action. You can offer expressions of sympathy and understand that the person may wish to speak about their beloved pet. Use their pet's name. Discuss all of the beauty of the relationship and the things you remember, just like you would with a person. Cards and other supportive gifts can be most helpful and appreciated. If the person who has lost a pet knows how much you care and understand, it will be a great support to them. Often, the first act of kindness may be from your vet. And I'd like to share with you some of the things that our vet at North Royalton Animal Hospital has given to us in memory of, these are 4 of the pets that we had pass. One was 14 years ago, and then the 3 most recent ones. So this one is of Bob the cat, and as you can see, we get a paw print and a vial with Bob's hair. We have Biscuit, our dog, who's the one that died quite a while ago, and that was when they first started giving you these paw prints. And then of course we have Bart and Cole, and they give you a picture and a paw print and a little vial of their hair, and it's just very moving when you receive those. And often we've received flowers from them as well as from other people.
You know, Tom, listening to all those things you mentioned, I had the thought that I think probably one of the most important things we could do is listen. You know, it's let them talk about their pet, you know, talk about the name. I know I've had to put down 5 dogs, and each one, you know, I have the memory, and when I could talk about it to someone, and they would actually listen, like, you know, look me in the eye and let me know you're really listening.
Really support.
And that's the whole thing with any of this grief, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be a pet or a loved one, you know, the listening, I think, is so important.
That's a great point.
You know, Tom, one of the questions probably from all pet owners, and we always wonder, will we ever meet our pet again? Will we see him?
Well, Pope Paul VI once said, "One day we will see our pets in eternity with Christ." These words of compassion have been expressed by St. Francis of Assisi 9 centuries earlier in his canticle, when he proclaimed, "Be praised, my Lord, through all your creatures." I don't think it would be heaven without Cole, Bart, Bob, and my other pets.
You know, Tom, it's so true when you think about heaven and will we see him again. And so that question had come up years ago, probably after my first or second pet. And, you know, a very wise priest, he was so caring, and he looked at me and he said, "Rosie, if you need to see your pet in heaven, your pet will be there."
That's so true. We know that love exists for eternity, and we can never lose the great affection that we hold so dear in our hearts. The video clips that I've seen about what it will be like when we see our pets again are very moving, and I tear up just watching them. And I hold to that image of reunification in some manner that will be even greater than these images. I am content to trust that all this love will continue, and one day we will be rejoined in this love. And it's so beautifully reflected in this image that I have that somebody gave me. It is the most moving and powerful gift and memory that I have, and it's Christ welcoming my Cole.
Tom, are there some poems or prayers that bring comfort that you know of?
I think everybody who has lost a pet is familiar with this moving poem called The Rainbow Bridge. And Rosalie, if you would read that, I would appreciate it.
Sure. There is a bridge connecting heaven and earth. It is called the Rainbow Bridge because of all its beautiful colors. Just this side of the Rainbow Bridge, there is a land of meadows, hills, and valleys with lush green grass. When a beloved pet dies, the pet goes to this place. There is always food and water and warm spring weather. The old and frail animals are young again. Those who were sick, hurt, or in pain are made whole again. There is only one thing missing. They are not with their special person who loved them so much on earth. So each day they run and play until the day comes when one suddenly stops playing and looks up. The nose twitches, the ears are up, the eyes are staring, and this one runs from the group. You have been seen, and when you and your special friend meet, you take him in your arms and hug him. He licks and he kisses your face again and again, and you look once more into the eyes of your best friend and trusting pet. Then you cross the Rainbow Bridge together, never again to be apart. Tom, how do you think grief from losing a pet is similar to losing a person? And I know we've talked a little bit about it, but what are your thoughts?
Well, longing to see, hold, and share the daily habits and affection that was shared, that's the same. Since love is outside of time and space, these feelings will exist forever. This deep love will be carried with us, and we will never lose these feelings. Often also a pet has been a bond between a parent and a child, or between spouses. So when it dies, a special unifying bond has been shattered, and often it's difficult to understand what has happened and to repair that damage in that bond. It may be a very delicate situation when people may not have been in agreement about the end of a pet's life, so their relationship will also need some healing. The similarities actually could be expressed very well in the poem that you read about reunifying with a loved one or with a pet.
Tom, how do you think it's different from losing a pet and a person?
Certainly there's differences. We pray for the eternal rest for our deceased loved one's soul. We don't offer the same type of petitions for a pet. We also may even feel more guilt by questioning our decisions about the end of life issues for a pet. Did I do the right thing? Could I have done this? So our self-doubt can be overwhelming at times. Our pets provide us with abundant, uninhibited love without any conflict or any worry, but they can't tell us when their time has come. For many people, the death of a pet and a loved one is very similar.
Tom, I found that when I lost a loved one, my husband, my brother, my family members, and the loss of a pet, I felt the same. Can't say I honestly felt a deeper sorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I love them all deeply, my pets included.
And that is why this video is important, because it is something that is not addressed all the time. It is a true grief.
Tom, how does loss of a pet affect another dog or another pet you may have in the house?
Well, we had personal experience with this past year. Is When the first one to die was Bob the cat. And the two dogs missed him. Now, they were never best of friends, but they knew something was different. And, so it appeared to bother them. But when we lost Bart the beagle, Cole just refused to eat. He wouldn't get off the couch. He really didn't, it looked like he didn't want to live any longer. It was losing his best friend for 13 years. And we were so worried. We hand fed him and, he would still go out, but, we had to coax him into everything. So our solution was we did get another dog, but it was really for Cole so that he would start being active again. So they take it very, very hard.
They do, I agree.
Rosalie, what are some of the most difficult moments or reminders after you've lost a pet?
Oh gosh, I think almost with all of them, it was walking into an empty house and no one coming to greet me, and it's so many things, but I think overall, Tom, it had to be that emptiness when I came home.
I think we still look for our pet to be there where they always were, by the door, by the bed, by the bathroom door, wherever it was. And that's when those moments of sadness can overtake you.
Oh, definitely.
Agreed. What do you think the hardest decisions are at the end of a pet's life?
Well, certainly the most difficult decision is to decide when a pet needs to be put down. Pets cannot tell us how much pain they're in, and the diagnosis for a pet is often very speculative. We hold out hope, we do everything we can, yet we would never decide to end a loved one's life, yet we do that for our pets. So sometimes the sorrow and the guilt and the questions are really great. Even when your pet has looked you in the eye and told you that it was their time to leave, refused to eat anymore, and you knew they were really sick, that decision is most difficult, and you're never sure you made the right one. Your vet can make a significant difference, as was our experience with deciding to put each one of our pets to make their last day.
Tom, I think the eyes, with all five of them, the eyes, I would look at them, and it was the eyes looking at me and saying, I love you, but I can't do this anymore. I mean, the pain in their eyes. And with the one, I'm so sorry that I didn't read his eyes, and instead I took him to emergency vet. They did surgery, couple days, and it was sad, and I could have saved him from all that if I would have read his eyes a little bit better and just let him die at home. But yeah, it's the eyes, Tom. It was the eyes for me. Tom, what do you think we can do to heal from that grief?
I think just like when you lose a person, you need to do things that help you to express your great love, your great sorrow, and how you miss them. I write, and we create for each one of our pets, we've created booklets and with our memories of when we got them, when they were little, and what we remember about their lives. So we have them for Bart and for Bob and for Cole, and we write about our experiences, and we memorialize them that way. We display the pictures that you've seen from the vet, the things that they have given to us in memory, and they have their own special place. We talk about them all the time. And I call our new puppies, which we have 2 now, I call them sometimes by the previous pets. One of the things that I've decided to do to memorialize Cole was to volunteer at Cuyahoga County Animal Shelter to walk the dogs that they've found that are looking for homes. And so many things there. I'm thinking about him, remembering his life, and knowing that I'm doing some good in his memory. I'd like to read some of the poems or some of the memories or some of the things that I've written and that are in these books, but I still can't, bring myself to do that on camera. So Rosalie, if you could read one of those that I've written, I would appreciate it if you could share it.
Oh, for sure, Tom. He scampered out of his cage along with his 7 sisters. Running to my lap, he jumped into my heart, into my life. Immediately he began kissing me. His kisses continued 12 years. He licked my tears as I said goodbye, with his warm face against mine, his life always in me.
Tom, do you think we should get another pet immediately or wait?
No new pet can replace a lost pet, but you can develop new love, new relationships, and experiences that are wonderful and supportive, but it will never be the same, nor should it be, nor should you expect it to be. Don't get another new pet expecting to relieve your sadness, but rather to develop a new relationship. We have 2 new puppies that we have, and we love them dearly. It doesn't relieve the sadness and the sorrow that we have in our hearts. I have a few final things that I would like to share in the way of conclusion of this video, and I hope that you have found something in here that offers you a small measure of comfort. There's 2 poems that I think are very meaningful, and I'd like Judy and Rosalie to share those with you. Judy, if you could read first.
Yes. Having a dog will bless you with the happiest days of your life and one of the worst days.
Thank you. That's so true.
So true. Waiting at the door. I was just a pup when we first met. I loved you from the start. You picked me up and took me home and placed me in your heart. Good times we had together. We shared all life could throw. The years passed all too quickly. My time has come to go. I know how much you miss me. I know your heart is sore. I see the tears that fall when I'm not waiting at the door. You always did your best for me. Your love was plain to see. For even though it broke my heart, you set my spirit free. So please be brave without me. One day we'll meet once more. For when you're called to heaven, I'll be waiting at the door.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Let's just say a quick prayer. Our Father in heaven, we thank you so much for your abundant love and the love that we have between our pets and us and all that they have meant to us over all the years. We ask your blessing on all who watch this video, that you may give them some comfort and some peace after the loss of a pet. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.